The Fulbright program is a cornerstone of the relationship between Iceland and the U.S. It supports cooperation in education, research, and the arts, and builds bridges between individuals and institutions in the two countries. 2 American scholars have been in Iceland this past semester. Dr. Eugene Williams has been doing research and teaching at Hólar University in North Iceland in the field of fish biology, and Dr. James Leary has been teaching in the field of folklore at the University of Iceland. I hope you'll enjoy hearing a little bit about their stay in Iceland.
So the idea here is that the global temperature is changing, global climate is changing. Temperature's getting warmer and warmer, so there's some concern about what's going to happen with lots of different things, social things and food supply things and biological things. And I'm interested in what the fish are going to do when the temperature warms up a little bit. I mean, you know, for a lot of things, a few degrees change in temperature is not necessarily going to be a terrible thing, but there are a number of species of plants and animals that are going to be completely, probably adversely affected. And in the animal world, there's really 2 groups that are going to be affected by global climate change. One is the group of animals that are already living very close to their maximum temperature, like fish in African lakes. Sometimes are so hot that another degree or 2 is too much and they'll die. There's another group of organisms, and that's the one I'm interested in. They're the ones that have maybe lost the ability to do something about it. Right? They live at moderate temperatures, and so lots of things can live warmer than that, but they have forgotten how to do that. They don't have the metabolic machinery anymore to make the adjustments that are necessary. These char have been trapped in Iceland in very stable temperatures. So now the best way to compare animals is to have very similar species, right? And you can compare the 2 different species. You can't really compare bears and walruses. They're too far apart evolutionarily, and so their machinery is different. But if you have species that are very close together, it makes the comparisons more valid. Well, here in Iceland, you've got the same species, the exact same species, living in 2 different thermal environments, and they've been there for 10,000 years. So there are fish down in the south of Iceland that have been living in 5 degrees, at a constant 5 degrees, for 10,000 years. And there's another group of the same exact species living up near Hólar that have been living in an environment where the temperature swings very wildly. So now my question is, how do they respond to temperature change? Now the guys where it's going up and down all the time, you expect they've proven by their very existence that they can deal with that. What about these guys? Can they do that?
Been doing a lot of work back in the States with workers in the building trades and looking into their cultural traditions, and I've also been working with students to produce sometimes films or radio programs or museum exhibits. And so here in Iceland, I thought I'm having to teach a course on public folklore where you do documentation and you turn it into some kind of public program. And I thought with the students we could focus on the culture of workers in Iceland, trying to get a range of people from old-time kind of rural and urban traditional kinds of practices to workers who work with tourists and as well as to new immigrant workers. So my students went out and I did too, and we worked in pairs and we did digital interviews and photography with different workers here in Iceland and created an archival collection for the National Library and Oral History. And we create students in folklore, and folklorists here have in many ways looked at sort of older rural traditions, and so the idea of looking at all, at workers and their special language, their customs, their style of dress, their informally learned tricks of the trade, their stories, that was something totally new for them in terms of documentation. So everything they discovered was kind of an exciting discovery, but at the same time they've all worked a variety of jobs, so once they got thinking of it, they thought, oh, of course, all these jobs have cultural tradition. So that recognition that they already knew more than they thought they did was kind of a surprising discovery for them. Making a half-hour radio program for Icelandic radio, it still has to be finished in January, and so I'll be in touch about that. One of the students is from up in Skagafjordur, and she comes from a horse and Icelandic cowboy-cowgirl kind of family, and I'm setting them up with the Cowboy Poetry Festival in Elko, Nevada, that brings cowboys from all over the world, so we're working on that. And then I'm also working with some people to try to have a cultural exchange between the University of Wisconsin in Madison and the University of Iceland here. So yeah, I'll be in touch. And I've made good friends with some of the workers I've been documenting, and we're planning to Skype.
Excellent.
And so forth.